are obscene. So you start with equity, and then you move to banning. What's next, Bernie?
This is pornography. It's an abuse to our children.
The books you are trying to ban have literally made these people feel seen for the first time in their lives.
We please ask you to protect our children, and if you can't, we the people will, by any means necessary.
Welcome back, Tam Fam. Today we are talking about the heated topic of book banning, attempts to remove books from schools. The issue of the right to read and who decides what is appropriate for children is front and center at school board meetings and in the headlines right now around the country. My next guests are mothers who are fighting, they say, for stricter rules when it comes to what books should be allowed in schools. Tiffany Justice is the co-founder of an organization that says they are working towards defending parental rights in the educational system. Pam Macek is a former substitute teacher who believes that children are being exposed to sexual education too early in their development. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Tiffany, first and foremost, I know that you want to make the distinction between banning and removal. You say this is not about banning. You believe it's about removal. Help me understand the difference.
I served as a school board member from 2016 to 2020 and was very clear about the content that was allowed into schools. For example, internet access is not unfettered in schools. There are internet sites that are not allowed for children to have. There's limited space on library shelves. And so librarians need to curate that material. We don't have Playboy or Penthouse or Hustler in our libraries. And so you have moms and dads getting up at school board meetings, reading from some of these books that we have asked to have reviewed or pulled from libraries, and their mics are being cut off. And Tamron, the mics are being cut off because the content is too obscene and explicit to be said out loud at a public meeting. Why would it ever be on a public school library shelf?
Tell me again, though, the difference between removal and banning.
Well, print the books, write the book, publish the books, print the book, sell the book, put the books in the public library. But we're talking about a public school library again. And so on these issues where you do have explicit sexual content, and I want to be clear, that's what we're talking about here. If you haven't seen some of the books that are going to be discussed on the show today, please get them and look at them, audience. You need to see these things because I promise you, you will be shocked at the explicit sexual content that is being put into these libraries. I think the most concerning thing that has happened here is the fact that a lot of these books and librarians didn't even know, schools and librarians didn't even know these books were in the library. So we have a real
let me be clear, they're not being snuck
problem.
in. They're not being snuck in. It's not like a nefarious book person is sneaking them in. Many of these books, and Pam, I want to bring you into the conversation because one of the books at the heart of this is Gender Queer by Maya Kobe. And this book is a memoir. It's a young adult graphic novel about discovering sexuality, gender. In 2020, it won the Alex Award, which is a big award in the American Library Association. I would like to make the point, Pam, I'm old enough to remember, as I said at the beginning of the show, my favorite book, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. People wanted to ban that book. I remember, my mother may not want to know, sneaking under the covers, reading about this character whose body was going through what I was going through at that time, which was puberty, and learning from a book that adults, teachers, parents, some of them, didn't want me to read, and now it's considered a literary classic. So help me understand, Pam, your feelings, and perhaps even the feelings of people back in the day who wanted to see other books removed because they felt kids weren't ready to read them.
Okay, I guess it goes, and thank you for having me.
Of course.
It goes back to parental autonomy, parental authority. Whose children are they? We're not telling other parents how to raise their children, and your parents didn't want you to have that material. We respected, we respect the sanctity of the family. I have 7 children. I have 11 grandchildren. I did not want my children being exposed to this. No one's discussing the issue of grooming, of pedophilia.
But that's not in the book. I have the book, and none of that is in the book.
No, absolutely. Okay. But what happens is it's a tool because it opens the door to conversation. And conversation with who? Who are our children? If this book, my child got this book off the library, out of his high school library, plus it was in the young adult section. Now, when I tried to speak about this book at the Board of Ed meetings, the gavel went down.
I
They
actually
tried
have that clip.
removing
Let me
me.
play that clip. Hang on one second, Pam. I don't want to silence you. I want to play that clip you're referring to. Let's play it.
Just picture your 14, 15, or 16-year-old finding this book, curling up in a chair, and delving in. I'll begin. I was 11 or 12 years old, the first time I can remember fantasizing about having a penis. I was lying fully clothed on a hillside under an open sky. I held a folded handful of grass between my legs.
Ma'am, are you reading from a book?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The book that's in your
I don't think that's
library.
appropriate. There's young people in the audience.
Of course it's appropriate.
I have the rest of that quote. I know that you checked the book out of the public library and you haven't given it back. That's
right.
But you talk about parental autonomy. You have 7 children, 11 grandchildren. You're removing the book, keeping it from parents who might be okay. So that's not giving autonomy to other parents.
Okay, I'd like to address that. I did make a book challenge. I didn't just remove it. I've met with the director on more than one occasion and spoke about it. I, have had open communication.
You took the book. Let's stay focused. You took the book from the public.
I took the book
from the public library.
In our public library, it was in the young adult section. My solution or my suggestion was there should be a section in the library for these books that children could see with parental supervision. There is straight up pornography in here. And the reason it's not, if these were actual photographs, there could be a prosecution, I believe. But because it's illustration, it's permissible and it's not illegal. The author has every right to have her book. But what she does in her bedroom is not my business, and it's not my children's business.
Yeah, but you made it your business when you removed a book from a public library.
Listen,
Tiffany, let me bring you in, Tiffany, because I know that this is a very, and let me tell you, I'll be very transparent. I don't agree, but I always respect people, and I want you to always feel respected. So, Tiffany,
sure. What is it that you don't agree about?
Tiffany, let me bring you in because I know that there's a laundry list of books, and these books are increasing. There, though, is a school district or there was an idea out of Kentucky, public elementary school that wanted the Bible removed. I mean, people ask, where does this end? Because the Bible has incest, it has adultery, it has sin, it has graphic nature, it has temptation. Where does it end, Tiffany, is the question.
So, yeah, and I want to talk about that, and I want to clear, if you haven't seen Gender Queer and you're hearing about it for the first time, please go get it and look at it. The first time I showed it to my husband,
you've made the book a hit. You've made the book now sells more by what you all are doing, which is also the phenomenal part. And I should make the point, Tiffany, the reason that the book ended up on the list is because it grew in popularity because the young people wanted to read it. It's just like I was watching the movie Elvis the other day. The young people wanted to see him wiggle and it made him a star. But the TV shows and the censors tried. But let's switch back. The Bible, where does it end? Let's talk about my question. My question is, where does it end? I think this is a great question.
Okay. I think this is a wonderful question. And I think the best thing that's happening right now is we're actually talking about reading. Tamron, the concern here is the fact that there are nearly 2/3 of children in America that are not reading proficiently. Why aren't Americans? Why aren't we having an entire show about literacy? They can't read because you're taking the books off the shelves. No,
I mean, that's what one would say. Listen, I'm being flippant in saying that, but what, in all honesty, we are talking about this growing phenomenon and one of concern of who gets to determine what children read. So I go back to my question. Would you support a ban of the Bible being read because it has adult content?
No, Tamron. Here's what's very important. Moms for Liberty is working very hard to help to get school board members elected across the country. And this
so
is
you're a political organization or you're a
parent
organization?
We are a parental rights organization that supports parents getting more involved in their children's education. Right. And so we want every parent to be involved in their children's education and to have their voice heard. And there are conversations that need to be had around what is age appropriate for children in America.
That's
and parents need to be a part of that conversation. And so,
but are you asking, are you saying, let me ask you real quick though, are you saying parents or some parents? I know, for example, there are multiple articles that point to your support, and this is not a political conversation for me, but there are multiple articles that point to your support of Governor Ron DeSantis. I mean, some would say you want a conversation with parents, but parents who are like you.
And that's completely, and that would be completely untrue. And here's the thing. I think, you know, I'm seeing a slant on this show. I think we've seen a slant in mainstream media.
I don't want you to say that, because we call it the Tam Fam, and you're a member of the Tam Fam, as far as I'm concerned. Because people applaud, that doesn't mean there's a slant. That means they differ in opinion.
No,
and
I'm
so
happy for
I can't let you do that. Now that I can't let you do, because I will always welcome people who have a different. I grew up in rural Luling, Texas. I grew up in a red state. I happen to live in New York City. So I don't want you to feel that because the audience is not applauding what you are saying, that they are wrong. That's their opinion.
No, I don't think they're wrong.
But you saw it as a slant.
Did I say that
You saw it as
I'm
a
sorry.
slant.
You're not the audience, perhaps your line of questioning. I think the bottom line here is this. Why do we support Ron DeSantis? Why do I personally support him?
I didn't ask
because
you that, but that's
parents.
your line of question. I didn't ask you why you supported him. I did not. That is not. That is
what
not.
was your question, Tamron?
My question is, are you a parental organization or a political organization?
We are a parental rights organization, but politics matter because policies matter, because people matter. And what you're really talking about at the heart of this issue is school board policy. There is a limited amount of room in a school district library, in a public school library, and I think every voice should be heard in deciding what should be in that library. Sometimes parents are going to question books or have questions, and maybe they're wrong about that. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that parents should be vilified for asking questions about their children's education.
Listen, as a parent, I'm going to ask questions all day long, and I say to you, you should also. But we have to make sure we're talking to parents that don't look like us. Thank you both so much for your time. Tiffany and Pam for being here, and I cannot stress enough, this show is about opinions, and everyone is welcome to the Tam Fam.